In this topic, we're going to be looking at debit cards. A lot of this you probably already know, and some of you probably already have debit cards. I know I got one under my parents' name when I was in high school, so it's definitely a good thing to have. And if you don't have one right now, you're probably going to get one in the next few years. I'll explain how to use a debit card to make purchases. This is pretty straightforward. You either swipe it, you can insert it into the machine, so that's a little chip. So insert chip, or you can tap the card, which is my favorite thing. You just tap the machine and it takes the money out of your account. I really don't understand the technology behind it, but it's pretty cool. But why is it important to protect your PIN? So nobody can access your account. It's very important that you don't let anyone know your PIN number for your debit card, or else if they get a hold of your card, they have all the access to your money. So now let's look here. It says a debit card can be used for different purchases, and it lists a bunch of them here, but you probably already know that. They can be used in ATMs around the world. You could pay bills with them. You could pay for groceries, restaurants, etc. So what are some advantages of using a debit card? So let's look for number one. It says, why is a debit card more convenient than writing a check for purchases? I just think it is easier, it's faster, and also all transactions are recorded electronically. So I'm just going to write that down. So the best thing about debit cards is that you can look on your statement and see every single transaction that was made on it. So you wouldn't be able to do that with a written check. And also it's just faster and easier to swipe your debit card or tap their debit card rather than writing out an entire check to buy something. I don't think many people even use checks nowadays. At least people my age, and I'm not that old, I'm in my 20s, so for number two, it says, how can you use your debit card number to keep track of your bank account so you can go online and see your transactions? And then for number three, it says, how might using a debit card be better than paying with cash? Well, you just don't have to carry any cash on you. You just carry your card, and it's easier to keep track of your spending once again. So I personally barely keep cash on me. I keep a little bit, but not that much. And all of my purchases are used with or made with my debit card. So going to example here, it says, Sean is a truck driver. In a typical week, he uses ATMs 3 times at truck stops. His average charge is $3.25 per transaction. So if you're using an ATM at a gas station or anywhere, usually there's a transaction fee, which is between $2 to $5. I've seen some that are pretty high in the $5. And that's just the transaction fee for having to use the machine. So, how much money or how much does Sean pay monthly for ATM use? So, they want us to figure out how many transactions he makes in a month. So, what we're going to do is we're going to calculate how many in a year, and then we're going to divide that by 12 to get the month's worth. So, there's 3 transactions per week. And how many weeks in a year? There are 52 weeks in a year. So in total, he's making 156 transactions per year because 3 a week times 52 gives us 156 a year. So then we're going to take the amount he does in a year, 156, and we're going to divide it by the 12 months. So in total, he does 13 transactions per month. And you're probably wondering, well, why didn't we just take these 3 transactions a week and times it by 4 weeks in a month? Well, if we do 3 times 4, we get 12 transactions, and that's really close to 13. However, every month doesn't have exactly 4 weeks in it. It's kind of an estimate that we go about our lives using, but the proper way to actually calculate this would be to find the amount per year and then divide it by the 12 months because there's for sure 12 months in a year. So then in part B, it says, what does he spend on ATM charges per month? So he does 13 transactions in a month, and each transaction has a fee of $3.25. So we're going to multiply those two numbers, and you should get $42.25 in transaction fees. That's a lot of money per month. So in part C, it says, how could Sean reduce his ATM expenses? Like, how could he get this $42 number down? Because that's a lot of money just for using ATMs. So if I were Sean, I would just take out more money at a time if he has that available. Therefore, you would be using the ATM less. So you would have to withdraw money less from it. So I said that Sean could withdraw more money each time So he uses the ATMs less often. So instead of doing 10 transactions of $10 and each time you have to pay that transaction fee, I would just do one transaction of $100. So then I'm only paying that transaction fee once. And another thing he could do is use an ATM that belongs to his bank. So you'll notice on every ATM, there's going to be a logo on it, whether it's like RBC Bank or a credit union, CIBC, or so on. So if you could find a debit machine that belongs to the bank that you use, there will actually be no transaction fee associated with it. However, if you're traveling, you're not going to be going around searching for an ATM that has your bank's logo on it. You're just going to kind of use the one that shows up first. So if you luck out, that's great, but sometimes you just got to pay that transaction fee.